Judson to open us with a word of prayer.
Sure. Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we just want to thank you. We acknowledge your presence with us here today. We thank you for blessing us. We thank you for uplifting our hearts. We thank you for your guidance and the gift of life. We ask that you continue to impart in us your wisdom and your understanding. We thank you for the opportunity to serve our beloved island and the people of this nation. We thank you for bringing us together and entrusting us with the responsibility of leading Anguilla under your direction. Father God, we ask that you continue to outpour your divine wisdom and understanding. Continue to give us clarity, strengthen us, and unite us as we engage in meaningful dialogue and discussions and how we project the island's future. Thank you once again for your strength and your vision upon our leaders of this nation, Father God, and the government and all our appointed leadership within the respective government departments. We thank you for embarking us with your presence today. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Mr. Judson. This evening in studio we have the Honorable Minister of Health, Tourism and Sports, Honorable Cardigan Connor, no stranger to our viewers and listening audiences. And with him, he has his tourism team. So this evening we are going to discuss tourism as it is in Anguilla. There is no doubt that tourism has been the bloodline, the aorta of our existence over the years. It has transformed, it has changed over the years, and as a result, we must keep pace with it. It has been God sent to us, beautiful people, wonderful beaches and services that I will dare not say comparable with any in the region. No pun intended, but we are special people when it comes to tourism.
Yes.
So this evening we have in studio, as I mentioned, the minister is here with his team, and the team is comprised of Jameel Rochester, who is the Director of Tourism, Mrs. Chantelle Richardson, who is the Deputy Director of Tourism, and Mrs. Jolyene Robbins-Williams, who is the Tourism Planner. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Just the Facts. This program seeks to really educate and inform the general public with respect to what is happening in government, not only from our political leaders, but for the civil servants and those who are doing the heavy lifting, in terms of the tourism, whether it's in health, whether it's in economic development, and so on. And yes, while we are politicians and we are elected representatives of the people of Anguilla, it is incumbent upon us to educate and inform our people as we go along. The politics will take care of itself. Every 5 years, of course, you as civil servants will have a right to vote and decide as well. But we, the politicians, will put our record out there so that the electorate will be able to decide as to who they would want going forward. But in the interim, we must be able to inform our people and educate our people. Because at the end of the day, there's a lot of chatter out there. And it is incumbent upon us to make sure that we set the record straight. Tourism this evening, I have a number of topics here that we would want to discuss. And as we go through them, I will be asking you all some questions so that you could inform the public in terms of what is happening. But before I get to our guest, I would want to ask the minister, this is your first opportunity as a minister in government. You're no stranger to tourism, because I can very well remember between 2015 and 2020, tourism was your responsibility under the Victor Banks led administration. You are the minister responsible now. How has it been, being at the helm for a second time, even though you're not the parliamentary secretary now,
Right.
you're the actual minister? Give us an overview as to what is happening.
Well, for a start, my honorable colleague, it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. I think you mentioned about every 5 years, persons go to the polls. The fact that for 3 consecutive terms, the people in West End, District 7, have voted me as their candidate or their representative. I was fortunate enough to have worked in 2015 under the leadership of the Honorable Victor Banks, and in fact, you were part of that government as well. Chantelle I'd worked very closely with her. She was part of the tourist board at the time. Jameel would have joined a little bit later. With Jolyene, would have worked at Youth and Culture. So, being Angola, there were no strangers. And you're a team man. I'm a team man. There's always been and always will be. It is important, I think, that the success that any leader or captain or coach will have, it depends on the support you get from your team. And of course, there was going to be a challenge going into the position as Minister of Tourism, because I would have made statements throughout the campaign, in fact, for 5 years, about giving our people an opportunity to succeed. I know it, and I felt I owed it to members who are at the tourist board, who in that 5-year period, we were rated number 1 for 4 consecutive years. And it was the first time that Angola was voted number 1. And to maintain that over a period of time told me we had people within that could get the job done. So I'm not surprised. And well, Jameel is the director, and he's got a great lieutenant in Chantelle. Again, they work very hard. Of course, there are challenges in most places. But I think for me, as the minister responsible, I need to give them the tools that they need to help bring success, not just to me, but to Anguilla. This lady next to me, as the tourism planner, I wish I had another one like her, simply because she puts so much work in and gets the job done. So I'm very pleased. I'm very pleased to have the support staff. I mean, this is just 3 of a group. There's some work needs to be done, and we've got a new CMO, and again, she's someone I know will be successful.
Right.
And
you mentioned, there will be challenges, of course, and there will be criticisms as well. I mean, nothing in life, goes without criticisms. We're going to take the politics out of it for a moment for this session, because there's been a lot of talk about directed to you as Minister of Tourism in terms of travel and so on and so forth. And I think, I don't know how to describe it, but at the end of the day, tourism, in and of itself, speaks about
travel.
Travel. But again, I want to use this analogy. You as a professional cricketer, and myself who, I've dabbled in it for a minute or 2. I know, and you know, and all of us who would have played cricket or look at cricket. You can't score a century by sitting in the pavilion, can you?
I like that analogy.
Or you can't take 5 wickets by being the 12th man.
Right.
You've got to be out there. In order to be able to score that century, you have to be in the wicket and facing the deliveries. And in order to take a fifer, as we call it, you have to have the ball in your hand.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the way I sort of summarize it. How would you put it?
I'm disappointed in some of the people who make that statement. I think, I'm not, but the beauty is being a former cricketer, you hear and you listen. You were forced to hear because you got 2 ears,
right.
But the brain decides when you shut off and you stop listening, because some of it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. The fact is, we need to get Anguilla's name out there. We need to go to the people to tell them about this little gem in the Caribbean, because not enough people know about it. And the other thing too is that tourism is split in two sectors. You got the ministry, you got the tourist board. The travel for the tourist board, these two here, they will tell me when my presence is desperately needed. We're part of CTO. I'm one of the executives at CTO. When it comes to the Ministry of Tourism, there are events we have to go to. So if I'm not here for one, or I'm not traveling for one, I'm traveling for the other one. I just don't understand how ridiculous those statements are. Because I'll tell you one thing, if we're not out there getting Anguilla's name to the world, there are other islands who are taking the opportunity. Because both Jameel and Chantelle and Jolyene will tell you, majority of the times that I go to represent Anguilla, I'm on the stage making presentations.
Well,
people are listening to me.
I was about to say that. I was about to ask if if you have any privileged opportunities, because over the last year that you've been minister and you've traveled to CTO conferences and so on, I would have noticed that you are part of the panelists that were presenting. Yeah. So I don't know.
The other thing too is that there's something that bonds, we talk about cricket, that bonds the Caribbean. I had a name in cricket before I got into politics. Okay. So again, that helps to sell.
But again, you mentioned that your disappointment in some of the individuals who are making these statements. Yeah. Again, this is just the facts. You're not the first.
It
won't be the last. Or you're not the only minister of tourism that has traveled. Whether it was the previous administration or previous administration, the ministers of tourism, they always travel. So don't be disappointed. If the disappointment is going to sort of encourage you, then go ahead and be disappointed.
There you go.
Okay, good. Thank you very much for that description of where we are and what we are doing. Jameel, you're the director of tourism, and you're in the hot seat. We want to look at the strategic marketing direction. The ATB has shifted since May 2025. To a more structural, data-driven approach. Of course, you are in the process of the 3-year business and marketing plan. You want to increase the PR visibility and the international engagements and the roadshow, similar to what I was just talking to the minister about, and emphasize on some targets and high-value markets and so on. Really explain to our viewers and listeners what has changed in how Anguilla markets itself today, how the changes, the comparisons. I like to compare.
So thank you guys for the opportunity for being here today. I think one of the biggest, greatest things that I saw, even for the closing of last year, was when the budget address came out and they gave the tagline. I think government had people, product, and prosperity, somewhere along that lines. And when I came into the Anguilla Tourist Board, one of the things I told the staff of the ATB was my 3 Ps, which was people, product, and purpose. Right? So when I saw the 3 Ps of the government in their budget address, I was like, okay, this is right on point. We are all thinking the same way. When I look at the Anguilla Tourist Board, and when I was asked to come back and take up the role of Director of Tourism, I said this time around we have to look at 3 strategic areas for me. And I think Anguilla have been known for its people. Its people is the greatest assets. And in the Anguilla Tourist Board, our people are our greatest asset as well. The product, we cannot promote the totality of the Anguilla experience without having the product in addition to the accommodations, our services, and so on. And our purpose as a tourism destination, our purpose as an Anguilla Tourist Board. Why are we doing what we're doing? Why we are in the business of tourism? So my mantra to the staff was always, we have to focus on our 3 Ps, people, product, purpose. And I had Chantelle here when I got into the Anguilla Tourist Board because it was a pinnacle time in the Tourist Board where I had to go straight into it. You know, from day one, I had to accompany the minister and the team. We had to go to Antigua, had to come back. I had to, you know, do a lot of stuff with the board. And it was looking at where we were in the moment and where we needed to go strategically. For me personally, I'm a person that like certain types of structure, certain plans, because when we put it down in plan, when we have it there, people dissect it, they look at it, we be able to enact on it. And I would say with the team, Chantelle and I, the CMO, and the rest of the team at the Tourist Board, the board, we have some real good plans. We have some real good programs for the Anguilla Tourist Board. Right now, the most important part for us is execution. Because anyone can come up with a plan or program, but the people is what is needed to execute the programs. So we would have created a 3-year business and marketing plan specific for the Anguilla Tourist Board. And this is a plan that we are hoping that it can be a continuous plan where you be able to do revisions, you be able to pivot, you be able to reassess the programs and be able to grow the strategic positioning of the destination. So what we've been looking at was market diversification, how we'll be able to look at areas of revenue generation and building a stronger brand positioning. I think over the years, we've been looking at Anguilla as a destination that is all luxury. And some people position it as luxury exclusive. One of the things I've been saying to the team recently is Anguilla as a destination is luxury inclusive, meaning that even if you're staying at the Great House, that's luxury. For example, when you look at the prices of a room at Great House, sometimes in high season can run you $600. What average traveler would pay $600 a night, like in a regular area for accommodations? You have to be somebody of a certain market sector, a certain niche area that would pay up that price point. So when we look at and we say mid-market properties, I look at all our properties as luxury inclusive, meaning when you look at travel trends of the passengers, the average traveler, people travel for experiences. Accommodation is one part of the totality of the experience. So you have some people who would spend less on accommodation and more on experiences, and some people who would spend more on accommodation and less on experiences. So we have to understand the type of traveler.
So when you say more on accommodation and less on experiences, or more on experiences and less on accommodations, you speak, could I give an example in terms of, you know, you pay less in accommodation and you eat at more restaurants and try all those sort of things. So in essence, you know, they're still spending.
Yes.
Okay, good.
And that's why we say luxury inclusive and not exclusive.
Okay.
Because someone can stay at an Airbnb, they can stay at a mid-market property at Charmin Escape and still enjoy the luxuries of going to the spa at Belmont or the Four Seasons or anywhere else within the destination. So a lot of people look at the Anguilla Tourist Board and say, well, the accommodations are doing their own thing. The accommodations will do their own thing. They're in the business of promoting accommodations. But the Anguilla Tourist Board mantra is to make sure that the totality of the product, the totality of the destination is promoted in its entirety.
Right. I'm going to come back and ask a question a little later about the whole Charmin Escape thing and, you know, the mid-level properties. And the Airbnb and so on and so forth. You mentioned CMO for our viewers and listeners. The CMO is not the chief medical officer. So you'll have to explain that what it is. Is that the chief marketing officer?
Chief marketing officer.
Oh, okay.
So we have Miss Kendisha Hall-Prentice, who would have joined the team in mid-January.
Okay.
And she's our newly appointed chief marketing officer. In fact, since we've had the role of Chief Marketing Officer, she's the first Anguillian to have been appointed in the role of Chief Marketing Officer for the Anguilla Tourist Board.
Congratulations.
So congratulations to Ms. Hall-Prentice.
Yeah, congratulations. You did mention the 3 Ps, you know, during my earlier years, a number of lecturers used to mention 5 Ps, you know, that's prior preparation prevents poor performance. So with you all in terms of the preparatory work, you know, the strategy, the marketing direction and so on, you're preparing for all of that.
You gotta take baby steps until you get to the full point.
So I will say to the minister, don't worry about the criticisms, you know, just keep, let's look ahead and stay positive. One of the things that I would want you to explain to our viewers and the listening public, there has been recently, within the last year, an increase in airlift and the economic impact that it would have on, tourism and the whole economic, I guess, diversification of the economy, so to speak, with more people coming in, more direct flights, and so on and so forth. I would have experienced myself the direct flights. It's not only more convenient, but time that is less time spent at the airports and so on and so forth. The flight out of Baltimore, I think it is, BW, to get from the East Coast, you fly into Miami and then, or you 3, 4, 5 hours waiting there and so on, as opposed to getting on that flight and coming straight to Anguilla. It really and truly has been, a blessing out of Jersey and Boston, I believe it is. Give us your take on that airlift and its importance, to the tourism product, because I believe that most of those flights that are coming in, the inbound flights, have let's say visitors. I've been on a few of them myself coming in, but it was sort of a drop in the bucket compared to the other passengers. Give us your take on the.
I would say from the access development, and we also want to speak about the existing partners, our local carriers, Anguilla Air Services, Trans-Anguilla Airways. Anguilla Air Services recently launched a new gateway as well. They are now servicing the St. Kitts route, and Avery also does a lot of work with Antigua and the commute between St. Martin, which have been a good bridge for us as well. Trans-Anguilla Airways, they've been in service for over 20 years, and they've been servicing the route between Antigua, St. Kitts, Nevis, Statia, Sabre, and so on. And also American. Chantelle and I returned on island on Monday, and it was so amazing to see that we were the only Anguillians on the entire flight. Meaning, if there's 80 persons on the flight, passengers on the flight, we were only 2 returning residents, and everyone else would have been visitors. And American would have started as a flight that was seasonal. Originally, it was supposed to be seasonal. It was supposed to be in our high impact season, and they would have been able to grow almost all year round. They only have some reduced schedules in our slower shoulder of the year. Right now, American has 2 flights a day, and on Saturdays, up to 3 flights on a Saturday. When I came into the Anguilla Tourist Board, the government of Anguilla would have initially had an agreement with Bermuda Air doing services as Anguilla Air. The Anguilla Tourist Board would have been tasked with the having to do the marketing of this airline. So over the last, say, 5, 6 months, 8 months, we have been walking around the clock with the representatives of Bermuda Air, Anguilla Air, and we would have had some real good success in terms of the inaugural flights. December 17th, 18th, and 19th, we would have had Boston, Newark, and Baltimore inaugural flights respectively. And I want to say thank you to Mr. Adam Scott and his team for making sure the experience was as smooth and seamless as possible. But one of the good things with walking with one of these airline companies is the fact that the access to information. So when you look at the performance of Bermuda Air, we've been able to see that our average visitor spend was about $324. This is based on the intelligence that they have been giving us from their systems, their booking records, right? We would have seen length of stay. So we would have noticed that the average American would stay between 5 to 7 days. But from the Boston Gateway, the length of stay have been about 9 days. The Newark has been between 8 to 9 days, and the Baltimore been 7 to 8 days. So we're seeing that our beloved Americans, which is a high percentage of our market, they're staying in the destination longer than what they have traditionally stayed. So when we look at the economic impact since the launch of this airline in December of 2025, and this is based on the information provided to us, we've seen about 1.04 million US dollars injection into the economy. And that would be from taxes. They also have a platform called Bermuda Holiday, which you can book your hotels through. So they would get all this intelligence from Bermuda Holiday, the night stays in the hotels and those different stuff. So you're seeing all this revenue, and they can give us real-time information about this. In January, which was the peak demand for the airline, we are seeing $2.34 million injection into the economy, airport taxes, flight person coming in, average spend. So today, the operations, and this would have been up until about mid last month, we're seeing about $3.38 million injection into the economy. So when we were looking at the takeaways from this airline and this partnership, because what we're realizing is you had visitors and you reverse the cycle in some ways. So you have visitors that are now coming from St. Martin and taking these flights to take them directly to these gateways, right? So it's no longer where you're going into St. Martin, coming to Anguilla, but the partnership is reciprocated. Persons are now coming from St. Martin to come to Anguilla to catch a flight. We also see our local carriers like Anguilla Air Services, they have code-share agreement with Bermuda Air. So they also do services directly over to St. Bart's. So you can purchase your ticket to Bermuda Air and you can be ticketed straight through St. Bart's with Anguilla Air Services. And these are also opportunities that exist for our local airline companies as well to have these partnerships. Because as we, as Anguilla as a territory, increase in our access gateway, there are other opportunities that can come by. So when you're looking at St. Bart's, we've had conversations with other neighboring islands, and we have some lovely initiatives that should be coming out shortly. Hoping to release that soon, but because of Anguilla positioning as luxury with our new terminal, even with the experience you get on Bermuda Air, other destinations want to walk and have closer partnerships with us as a destination. So there's so many advantages to it. If you even speak to the airport team, you see a significant increase in direct private jets into the destination. So luxury is heading up.
I was about to, to ask, the impact that the new terminal building, that it has in terms of the experience, the visitor experience. I'm sure it would be a positive one. And there's ongoing work there. Of course, the runway, the length of the runway, is another aspect of it, and so on and so forth. I mentioned, the 5 Ps. And I'm always conscious of preparation. With the new airport terminal building, the extension to the runway, you will have larger aircraft bringing in more bodies. I'm sure we'll have to prepare for it, whether it's the taxi cabs, whether it's the room stop that we have, and all of those things, the services and so on and so forth. Because at the end of the day, while we may be number one, as the minister mentioned, over a period of time, and with the increase in arrivals and the increase in passengers on the island, the services themselves, we wouldn't want it to be diluted. We would want to keep that same high standards going forward. So again, 3 Ps plus 5 Ps, let us have 8 Ps and try and make it up to 10 Ps, all preparation, pricing and product and so on and so forth. Mrs. Richardson, you are the Deputy Director, and I would want to ask you about the visitor trend. The Director touched on some of it, the visitor trend and industry alignment, how do you go about monitoring that, the visitor arrival, the performance data, and I'm sure even with Bermuda Air and the data that you spoke about, that collection of data is the basis, for improving, the quality of services that we render here. Global travel trends, the external factors, economic and geopolitical, they are on the front line, I should say, as we move. What trends are you seeing, and how is Anguilla adapting, to some of these trends?
So at the Anguilla Tourist Board, we have a strong emphasis on the data-driven to determine our decision-making for the initiatives that we embark on. And it also allows us the opportunity to capitalize on initiatives that would bring meaningful value to the destination, as opposed to just, having attachments with marketing initiatives that doesn't have a yield on return on investment. So with the data-driven opportunities that we embark on, it helps us to sustain a presence that is unique to the model and the brand of Anguilla, and it allows us to allocate the resources in a meaningful way and enable us to capitalize on our value for spend. So we have done a thorough assessment of where we are and where we would need to go. And even with the geopolitical changes, for example, with Canada, we would have embarked on ensuring that we allocate more resources to the Canadian market to have more of a impactful presence with our trade initiatives. And with that, we have also strategically positioned our marketing efforts in South America, because we are seeing a growing trend. We do have marketing representatives in South America, specifically Brazil, Argentina, and Colombia, and we're seeing an increase in arrivals from those specific markets. So in return, what we decided on, in collaboration with our in-market agencies, is to ensure that we concentrate our efforts within those key areas to kind of build more on Anguilla's visibility and our awareness. And even with the market trends, we know, and the seasonal performance, we understand that there is growth, and with the occurring growth, there is opportunities that exist for us. So it helps us to redefine where we are and also have an impactful presence across all our markets. Now, the niche areas that we're seeing new travel trends in terms of the types of travelers. Of course, Anguilla is known as a multi-generational travelers. Honeymoon, romance is one of our key strong niche areas, but we are also seeing a new trend with smaller groups, couples. We're seeing solo travelers as well, and so it helps us to build that confidence with the consumer behavior, and also position some of our marketing initiatives as it relates to such. Now, with the geopolitical positioning, we know that things happen around the world, and it creates, even though it's evolving based on the conditions, it also creates opportunities for Destination Anguilla. And the director and I have been having a lot of conversations about our brand positioning, who we are. And Jameel would always say Anguilla is the new Maldives. So even in our recent visit to our trade initiatives and PR initiatives in the UK, we've been having meaningful discussions with tour operators and Anguilla and travel advisors. And Anguilla is top of mind for the UK market, only because they're the high value travelers that would normally take trips to the Maldives. They are now considering Anguilla within the Caribbean. So again, with the geopolitical circumstances, there is always room for opportunities. Anguilla is being positioned as a destination of choice. And in addition to that, based on my recent sales mission in February in New York, and at the time there was a situation that was happening in Mexico, and we have received direct bookings. The resorts that were on the roadshow with us, Aurora, Zemi Beach, they have received direct bookings from agents who would have had clients that were going to Mexico, but then they chose Anguilla. So we have been positioned in a unique area where, because of our brand and our product, the accommodation offerings and what Anguilla has to offer, we are now becoming a destination of choice, outside of where people would normally go.
Yeah. You mentioned about the Canadian market, the South American market, Brazil and Colombia in particular. The minister, you all were recently in Colombia.
Yes.
In Brazil. Right. How did that go?
Very well. And again, that was in collaboration with aviation. which is very important. I think what the big takeaway there again is having a presence and again being part of the panel and being able to sell Anguilla to the writers and the agents that are there. What is vitally important in situations like that is staying abreast, even though some of the major airlines that are currently not coming to Anguilla, whether it's Air Canada, of course American Airlines is coming here on a regular basis, but JetBlue and Delta. The big question is about the extension of the runway, but we have to keep them abreast, on a regular basis. You have those conversations so that a year out, once we know that we will be ready, they can start selling it. So it's not getting it done today and expect the flights to come in tomorrow. It is a case of staying ahead of the game.
So in terms of that, visit down to Brazil, to the conference or trade show or whatever we would want to call it, all of those airlines with their airport authorities, how
it's called Routes Americas.
Routes, okay.
So again, it's North, South, and Central America. So the idea is that that part of the world, and this part of the world, and including local airlines as well, because inter-Caribbean travel is vital. We tend to rely very heavily on North America, and as Jameel would have mentioned, the collaboration with Bermuda Air and Anguilla Air Services and Trans-Anguilla, again, is vital for us as well, having discussions with Caribbean Airlines as well as Iliad 2020. These are obviously vital to us. With Anguilla being the furthest north in the chain, means that half the time to get south, you have to go up north. But we're very fortunate to have two local airlines that can take us down the islands, whether it's St. Kitts, Antigua, and onward connections.
Yeah. And you mentioned those markets in Canada, Brazil, South American Ireland, and you mentioned Colombia. Most of us, would relate to Colombia in terms of healthcare and healthcare tourism.
Yeah.
So we've got to tap into some of that visitor arrivals from that part of the world as well.
Right. And the South America market as well is very valuable for us because their winter is our summer. So we fill that void because a lot of our, even though the US is our main market, a lot of our visitors that will come from the US, they go to Europe during the summertime. So the South Americans come to Anguilla during the summer. So it helps to fill that seasonal tier that we would need as well.
Okay. So basically the season as we know it in Anguilla is the winter season of North America.
Yeah, correct.
And when it's winter season in North America, South America has summer.
Yes.
Okay. So when it's summertime in North America, South America is getting chilly and cold. Okay. And I'm hoping that we really and truly focus on that because that would help alleviate, the off season.
The off season, yes,
and
definitely.
when we speak about off season, it seems as if though, based on the trends, the off season is becoming shorter.
Very short.
Go explain a little bit about that.
We're seeing a trend where persons are traveling more leading up to August. They're capitalizing on visiting the Caribbean, at reasonable rates. We've also seen an increase in Caribbean nationals that are also coming to Anguilla during that period, in addition to day trippers. So we are tapping into the region very softly, and hopefully by next year we will have more of an impactful presence with marketing in the Caribbean region itself. We are continuing to build on our other markets within the U.S., not only focusing on the core markets of our tri-state area. We are also seeing visitors coming from the outskirts of the U.S. as well, coming into Anguilla. So that is an area that we will be building on, our secondary core markets.
Seems looking good. Of course, we're going to talk about the geopolitical situation a little later on. But I have here sales and trade engagement. I would have said to the minister early on, in terms of the conversations the chatter that is going around in terms of traveling. You all would want to focus on marketing, sales, and trade, participation in the road shows, and trade, activations, and so on. Strengthening the tour operators and partner relationships, reestablishing the UK market presence. Somebody mentioned that a little earlier. How are we doing in terms of booking through these efforts? What is there to say to the people? What is there for us to look forward to in terms of increasing our presence and driving the bookings up?
So with the Anguilla Tourist Board, the development of our public sales and trade marketing outreach, our program, it incorporates the opportunity for us to strengthen our relationships with trade, media, tour operator, and consortium partners. We also focus on targeted and results-driven approach in terms of our initiatives. And as a destination, this year in 2026, we focus more on the B2B, the trade element of it, because with the trade focus of our initiatives and engagements, it really goes beyond visibility. It drives direct bookings, it converts sales into direct bookings, and that is where you can see the return on investment immediately. And our focus on converting the direct bookings into sales, the interest into direct bookings and sales has been our top priority. We would have reassessed the key trade shows that we attend in collaboration and partnership with our stakeholders. We have expanded our presence and engagements with the various consortia programs and tour operator and wholesalers initiatives. We have also focused on reintroducing the destination roadshows, specifically for the U.S. market. We've had one or two roadshows within the other markets like South America, Italy, but our concentration in reintroducing the roadshows in the U.S. has been very much a key priority for us this year. And what we did with the data, we would have analyzed the key markets, the tri-state within itself, so New York, New Jersey, Long Island, Connecticut, Philadelphia, and then on the other tier we would focus on the Boston, Newark, Washington DC, Baltimore, and now we are even focusing on South Carolina. Florida is also an area that we would have more visibility and presence in, because we're seeing more bookings from Florida as well. And for the next year, we will be more going out to the West Coast. So we're taking a very strategic approach with our destination roadshows. And with that, the destination roadshows incorporate, it includes the tourist board. We reach out to our stakeholders to collaborate with us, so the accommodation sectors. And we will have hosted lunches and dinners with travel advisors. We would also engage in office visits. So we deliver presentations about the destination. For us as the ATB, we will focus on the destination access, sharing with them updated information on access, connectivity, sharing of things to do, our cultural experiences, and other activities that would be of interest. Highlights of our festivals as well, and then our accommodation sectors would also share of their product offerings. So with that, we have a very unified presence, and it's a holistic approach. You're selling the destination and you have the accommodation components that brings it all together. Right. So with that, we have had ongoing engagements with travel advisors. We have received direct bookings on the spot, and it's just building on our awareness, strengthening our relationships with the travel advisors who are the ones that are, influencing, their consumers to book the destination. So that is one of the key approaches. In addition to the trade shows, we also focus on webinars. We do online marketing, targeted and niche digital campaigns. We engage in newsletters, and we have a holistic approach to the program. And we also host travel we host fam visits, we host travel advisors on island and media on island. So they have the opportunity to experience the product firsthand.
Okay.
The media, the journalists, content creators, influencers, they would, deliver on their content, their writing, editorial, and with the travel advisors, they experience Anguilla firsthand.
Okay. Great.
So it gives them an opportunity to be more confident in their upselling,
Right.
and they can speak to the experiences within itself.
Yeah, so in a nutshell, it's a holistic approach.
Yes.
It's a multi-pronged approach. Some people say you should be able to walk and chew gum at the same time while smiling, So there's a lot of work that is going on, thank you all, for keeping abreast. The other thing anyone could really answer, I'm coming to the plan in a little while, this whole .ai buzz, I am sure that you all are having discussions with the Minister of Economic Development and the minister responsible for that, in terms of how you can use that, as an advantage for us, to help, drive the marketing of our tourism product.
Yeah, I would say even from the writing side, when you look at stories to tell about the destination, that's one of the biggest hits that we've been getting out there. When I go to media, trade events, they'll be like, tell us about the .ai,
Right.
and let me know some information about it, and
Okay.
can I write about this? Even in the past, we had at least 3 individuals who came on the island, and we had them interview the minister as
Okay.
well, specific to the
Yeah,
.ai domain and
okay.
what, because the thing about it is we haven't been able to package and tell the story. And I think with a lot of people hearing about us getting this golden egg, the golden nugget, they want to know what we're doing as a destination with the money.
With the money, yeah.
So I think that is one of the biggest conversation pieces, and persons want to see where the .ai money is going into destination.
Let me not only be biased here, but we have a lot of work in health, and you can do that because at the end of the day, while we're promoting tourism, we can't do that if you're unhealthy.
Yeah.
We're sitting here today because of that. So money and enough shouldn't be placed in the same sentence, because I'll have quite a bit of work for it where I could do well with it. Health, as you know, it's part of my forte, so
Yes.
I will always look in that direction first. Mrs. Robbins Williams, you are the tourism planner.
Correct.
And planning is in and of itself, is heavy lifting. I have a few topics here, and policy and planning. I have capacity building, stakeholder collaboration, product development, heritage preservation. But before you go into all of that, I really and truly would the product development, the tourism product development and enhancement, to creating new tourism experiences, improve existing attractions, increase destination competitiveness. That is on the product development that I have here. And then another interesting area for me is the preservation of key heritage sites. Tell us a little bit about those, and then the policy planning and so on. Give us a
Okay, so thank you.
overview.
So thank you. First, I would say that it is essential that with everything that we do in the ministry, we ensure that there's policy and there's a strategic plan to move it forward. So you would have mentioned the preservation of heritage sites, the product development and enhancement, etc. And these are key things that bring people back to Anguilla. So within our policies, for example, in 2010, the Sustainable Tourism Master Plan was created. That plan remained valid for 10 years, and everything that was listed in that plan was not fully achieved. So sometimes we're still pulling things from that plan because there are some good things in there that we can still use that's relevant for today. So when you look at product development, you're looking at things that will pull people to Anguilla, the pull factor. for the preservation of heritage sites, for example, I think everyone is pretty familiar with the Wallblake House. The Wallblake House has been in existence probably since 1786. And it is one of the houses that have stood the test of time throughout many natural disasters, including the most recent, which would have been Hurricane Irma in 2017. And after Hurricane Irma in 2017, the house was closed for a significant period of time. And in 2023, leading on to 2024, we began plans of saying, okay, let's try to reopen the house. Let's try to see if we could renovate the house. In 2025, we went full force with our renovation. And now in 2026, we're looking at ways to monetize the house. So we're looking at ways that we can not only charge persons to come into the house, but ways that it can be sustained by hiring someone from Anguilla, a local, to work in the house to assist with tours, to assist with bookings, to assist with accommodations, etc. So when you look at policies, you're looking at policies to develop and policies to impact these type of heritage sites. There's the old British post boxes that we would have partnered with Quest Experiences to repaint and to beautify. Recently, we would have undertaken the display of our local boats at the Blowing Point Ferry Terminal as well. And up to last week, we did a public notice that seafarers and boat captains from the Blowing Point area, that they now have the opportunity to come into the ministry and nominate a captain who would have served from, I think it's prior to the year 2000, where their names would be listed on a plaque just to honor them.
Yeah.
So we're always looking at ways to continue to ensure that the community, the people, as Jameel would have stated, benefits from everything that we do.
Yeah.
When we're looking at policy, currently we're actually starting consultations and a needs assessment towards the national tourism policy. We've had a policy that's outdated now, and it's time that we move forward together with a new national tourism policy.
Yeah.
So that policy will be impactful. It will cover blue tourism, green tourism. It will look at sustainable means of continue to promote Anguilla's tourism product, the sector. So the consultations are a key benefit of the strategic collaborations that happen when we travel. Anguilla, sorry?
Yeah, I like the idea of revamping the policy, so to speak, because the tourism product of today is markedly different than the tourism product was 10 years ago.
Correct.
So
It's much harder.
we have to evolve, and keep that going. The other thing that you mentioned about those boat captains, in the Blowing Point area, I think it's a noble one. I think it's long overdue, and I hope that the minister, who is an avid boat racing fan and crew member, would move forward with that, because Blowing Point, most of the folks, come in through there and so on. I believe at the airport too. Same thing should be done at the Clayton J. Lloyd airport with our aviators, so that you can come in, and those sort of things. In terms of Minister, the boat racing, declaring boat racing as our national sport, that's a work in progress.
It is.
And hopefully we could get it done
It's
before.
with the AG's office, yeah. So we work very closely. As I said, Jolyene is one of these godsends that again, if I say jump, you ask how high. So I think that's important.
And in terms of capacity building, now what are the plans and the policy there and so on? Because I believe, that, really and truly, the importance of tourism to our overall development is something that can't be underestimated. Because I remember the days way back in 2005, 2006, as a youngster, getting involved in politics and the executive council. The budget used to be centered around, the revenues that came in from tourism, and it's still a very active part of what is being done today. So I think, getting our young people involved in the tourism sector, is of paramount importance. And just not just to, and don't get me wrong, to, let's say, for instance, to be, bellboys and so on, and folks who are working in the villas and so on, but to manage the project,
Yeah.
because service here, we got to improve and increase the quality of service that we provide, but, a lot of the larger investors that come to Anguilla, they came to Anguilla because of the service that we have been producing over the years. So, I believe it was the late Hubert Hughes who would have mentioned that, or Ronald Webster would have mentioned, that we are not just bellboys and so on and so forth. So I think we've got to keep that in the back of our mind and preparing our people, to be able to move forward with that. So that about capacity building and so on. In terms of the the product development, what ideas or in terms of what plans do you think that we need to go down in order to be able to better the product that we already produce?
Well, first and foremost, we need to remember that, and I think we're doing that, an investment in our people is an investment in Anguilla. And when we look at product from the ministry and ATB, we're not only looking at the tangible aspect of the product, but also the intangible. And although you would have touched on capacity building prior, we've really invested in capacity building over the years. We realize that our people have a desire to be trained. And we've had tour guides training, we've had taxi dispatcher training, we've had training in community-based tourism. That's when you ensure that people are the main beneficiaries of any of the tourism products that, that exist. So we have invested heavily in our people. We continue to put the people first through training and development. And we're also looking at the development and enhancement of several different heritage sites on Anguilla, and also partnering with the private sector so that they can feel the importance of protecting these sites. I would also like to mention that the work that is being done by the Anguilla Enhancement Project, it's highly commendable. Even for the Wall Big House, they would have partnered with Four Seasons, and they planted, I think, over maybe 50 trees at the Wall Big House, along with other things that they do annually. So we're looking to develop these type of investments within tourism as well.
Yeah.
And how could I forget? Yes, last year we re-entered the National Tourism Youth Congress. So last year we would have been represented at a Congress, thanks to Aya Jones from the Omalulu International School, who was brave enough to step up to the plate and said that she would like to represent her country. And from us being at the Congress, there were several things that we observed, and we're now at the position where we would have done a call for registration. And we have 5 young people that will be competing on the 15th of April, 2026 at the Anguilla Great House from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. And there'll be one winner selected to attend the regional congress in Guyana, which will be held in October. So this is an excellent opportunity for young people. Even though a young person is not a part of the congress, I think that they should attend just to observe and just to be excited about entering next year, because that person that's selected as the junior tourism minister for the region, there's countless opportunities for that person. But we are taking 2. We're taking the winner, and we're also taking an alternate to build capacity.
That program and representing Anguilla,
Yes.
the students, they were at cabinet last week.
Yes, last week Wednesday.
Yes.
Acquitted themselves very well.
Yes, they did.
We probably may have to decide to send all 5 of them. just 5 of them
Yes.
that you need to go there, because I think based on their interest and the way they articulated and presented themselves, that in and of itself was very, very impressive, at that age, so it would be nice,
Extremely proud of them.
for us to, send as many of them,
Yes.
along with the winner, to support the winner,
To
so
support,
to speak.
yes.
I honestly believe so. The other thing, Minister, we have been having discussions with respect to this. we've got to open up the training vote for individuals who would want to pursue, training in the hospitality division. There are so many areas there,
Right.
and we've got to move away from this notion that, hey, the hospitality division, may not be looked at in the same light as, let's say, a scholarship for a lawyer or a doctor or someone else. We've been having discussions about it, and I think we've got to move forward on that and provide opportunities for young people who are really interested in the hospitality section to have them trained, right up the ladder, and be in charge, be general managers and financial controllers and so on and so forth.
Well, Minister, I agree 100%. I'll just be political for 1 second. Is that there was a statement made that
I'm not sure I'd allow you to do that, but go ahead.
There was a statement made that why do we send 3 of well-equipped personnel at the tourist board to school when we could bring somebody in? The fact is that wherever there's an opportunity, our people have got the right to sit at the same table as anybody else. And when we talk about opportunities, the lack of opportunities at the higher level in the tourism industry, the question we need to ask, what are we doing to be able to put them in that position rather than just waiting for an employer, an independent employer, a private employer to give them the opportunity when government, and you mentioned it, that tourism plays such a major role in our industry, but are we feeding our people? That's why I'm proud tonight, the way they've presented themselves, again, it makes my job so much easier.
Okay, yeah. Jolyene, I want you to talk a little bit about stakeholder collaboration, because it is critical, in moving forward and us having to be on the same wavelength, the Anguilla Tourist Board, the ministry, the stakeholders, the investors and so on.
So locally, we thrive on ensuring that our stakeholders are always a part of everything that we do within tourism. Throughout the year, there are countless stakeholder engagement. As I would have mentioned earlier, we are starting again on Thursday. And Thursday is a direct result of regional stakeholder engagement and international stakeholder engagement as well. Luckily for us, as the Minister would have mentioned earlier, Anguilla is a member of Caribbean Tourism Organization. And as a member, there are certain benefits that are afforded onto you. So one of the benefits that we would have taken advantage of was an internship program that is led by George Washington University. And as part of that internship program, there are students within the university that are completing their postgraduate degree that are looking for ways that they can develop their thesis. So as a result of this, Anguilla benefited from having 4 students on island from tomorrow that will be leading on these consultations voluntarily. And they'll be here for a week, and they'll be meeting with a lot of our stakeholders within the private and public sector. So this is a direct example of regional collaboration that's fostering stakeholder engagement and collaboration locally. We have developed a database with our local stakeholders where we ensure that information is sent out to them in a timely manner. Whatever it is, whether it's between the ministry, the Anguilla Tourist Board, the Anguilla Hotel and Tourism Association, we always try to keep our stakeholders informed and engaged. We always try to listen to their concerns. Some of them might not be something that's a quick or easy fix, but that's where research come in. That's where various meetings are held to ensure that we can address whatever the issues or concerns are.
Okay, great. Jameel, I want to come back to you under the topic of product development, sports and culture. I have here the Anguilla Tennis Cup returning in the 4th quarter of 2026. The alignment of the Summer Festival plus Festival Del Mar, strategy for position culture plus events, the core tourism pillar. And I also want to ask where we are in terms of returning to the jazz festival that used to happen. But in a nutshell, give us a little, how are these events and sports shaping the tourism product?
I would say when I came into the tourist board, one of the most difficult things, but good things, is the fact that my minister is the Minister of Health, Sports and Tourism. So in everything that we do, we have to couple it. It's the same thing where we were talking about with the AI, having persons look at all areas, what AI have been doing for health, what it have been doing for education. So, our job at the Angular Tourist Board isn't always just from a tourism perspective, but how you can tie in educational tourism, health tourism, sports tourism. And sports tourism was one of those areas that I've been tasked to do some more work and development in. So we've had the Angular Cup. When I was in the tourist board in my last stint, I was head of product development, destination experience, and the Angular Cup was one of those programs that I used to actively work with and execute. What I like about the program is the fact that we do have a very robust tennis fraternity on the island. The Anguilla Tennis Association has some of the best facilities in the region. And one of the good things of Anguilla hosting a tennis cup, in the past we used to be at a grade 4. Now we are at a grade 3, meaning Anguilla is the only destination in the Caribbean region that hosts tennis cups that is at a grade 3, meaning the caliber of persons who would come to the destination is of a higher tier of tennis players. What it also does is afford that community-based partnership with our local tennis players as well. So what we are trying to do this year is put a little twist to it, where we have a buy-in.
The Anguilla Tennis Academy is all part of.
Yes. So we work with the Anguilla Tennis Academy and the Anguilla National Tennis Association because they have to sanction the initiative. The Anguilla Tourist Board, and in the past, we've worked very closely with the Social Security Board, who both of us used to, be involved in this partnership of executing and promoting the Tennis Cup. What we also realize is the type of persons who come for the tennis program. They are homeschooled in most instances. They come with their tennis coach, their nannies, and so on, their schooling teachers. They stay at the Four Seasons, some stay at Aurora, some stay at La View. So they stay across different tiers of accommodations. Some of them have the black cars, they're taking SUVs, and so on. So it's in line with the product. It also gives that community-based twist to it where our locals now can have a buy-in to be in the tournament and how they can participate and see the caliber of players coming in, where it can inspire them to, continue to pursue their career goals in the tennis realm. As it relates to the Jazz Festival.
But before you get out of the tennis realm, we all, as Anguillians, must admire and give kudos to Mitch Lakewood for the tennis academy.
A lot of scholarships.
And the scholarships and so on. And at the end of the day, we're all in this together. It's Anguilla. So we will definitely, in terms of establishing that and the work that he continues to do.
Yes.
Under the radar, I should say, for most part.
And I've worked with him in the past, and the good thing is when we brought it back up, he was like, "Hey, I'm ready to go."
Yes.
And the National Tennis Association the same way. So for the Anguilla Tourist Board, we are always here to support these programs. Just like Jolyene having product development, we have Miss Kerry Rogers in the Anguilla Tourist Board who deals with product development as well. And one of the good things with the partnerships is the ministry develop the frameworks, the programs, the product, and we do the promoting, the curation of it and packaging of it. So that's how we work hand in hand with product development.
Okay. And coming back now to my Strictly Jazz.
I thought you'd forget about that.
No. Coming back to my Strictly Jazz.
With the Jazz Festival, I would say even recently, the Anguilla Tourist Board have always supported the arts, festivals, events, and so on, programs, carnival, and our small, initiatives throughout the year. I think right now with the commission coming on board, this is a good opportunity for them to also develop programs. I saw recently that they have a position out there for a CEO. And these are programs that the CEO can look at to see how we can do cross-departmental partnerships, packaging the experience and creating things to do. Because as I mentioned before with the P's, the product. And the product is part of the totality of the experience. So recently, we would have had the launch of Anguilla Summer Festival through the Festival Foundation yesterday. That is something that the Anguilla Tourist Board wanted to ensure that we had a strong partnership with. Because as the marketing arm of the destination, it's important for us to get out there, get this information out there about parsons, what can be done, the initiatives, the programs, what is happening for Carnival, and how we can package the experience. We also have a very good summer campaign that will be coming up strategically for Anguilla Summer Festival, developed by our newly appointed CMO. So we have a lot of exciting things, and we want to continue to bridge the partnership across the departments. For me personally, I've been involved in culture. I used to sing Junior Calypso in the past, right? So, you know, Carnival, culture.
You want a crown?
No, I didn't win the crown, but you know, it's somebody have to win, someone have to lose.
Oh, once you enjoy singing and composing.
Once you enjoy singing,
yeah,
right?
That's fine.
So I've been involved in it, and you know, over the years, even in product development, destination experience, I've been able to develop a lot of these programs. I've worked very closely with Festival Del Mar, which is upcoming. The Anguilla Tourist Board is a sponsor of it as well. We've worked very closely with Moonsplash that commenced last week. And you know, Anguilla Tourist Board provided a lot of support for the Moonsplash last week. We've done financial support. We've worked with them with our airline partners. We had complimentary tickets through Bermuda Air, Anguilla Air, to bring these artists into the destination as well. We also have a giveaway that will be coming up. We had on Island Experiences, we had the welcome receptions and so on.
Well,
and media coverage.
I missed out on the complimentary tickets because I was down there.
You weren't flying in, so you didn't get a taste of that. But you know, the Anguilla Tourist Board always try to be a partner in how we can support the arts, how we can support the culture, right? And you know, we've reintroduced, we had good conversations with these different programs, and we will continue to build on the momentum for these initiatives as well.
What impressed me, I know between 2005 up to 2010 with the Jazz Festival, there were a number of my friends at the time, you know, I was newly involved in politics, who they're jazz fanatics, so to speak, because I lived in Kansas City for a while, and Kansas City is a jazz city like New Orleans, you know, and a lot of folks came down during that time for the jazz festival, you know, and the thing about it is that the prices that for accommodation, because it was leading up into you know,
season,
the difference in prices during the Jazz Fest, you know, for accommodation was X. And you know, a week after that, it was X cubed. You know, so they enjoyed it, and you know, it was straight up jazz at the time, not like a music festival or you know, those other things. So that is, I'm hoping that the commission would look into it, and it's a different clientele again. That
it is.
You know, you can experience Anguilla, you know, and you know, spend what you said in the experiences, spend less in let's say accommodation and more in the experiences and so on. So it's all a vicious. I shouldn't say vicious. It's all a cycle. Not a vicious one. The other thing that I want to mention here, Jameel, is the governance, the internal strengthening, and so on. The 2025 budget reconciliation plus the 2026 budget submission, and of note here, you know, addressing outstanding audits, you know, that is cause for concern. You know, I see here currently at 2019.
Yes.
You know, we should be able to do better than that. You know, give us a little take on that in terms of, you know, those sort of things. You know, and you know, what are we doing? You know, in order to be able to strengthen the ATB internally.
Yeah.
And we're in 2026 now.
Yes.
2019, that's quite some time. You know.
So I know in the past, PAC would have had, the Public Accounts Committee would have had some suggestions, so strengthening the accounting policies and procedures within the Anguilla Tourist Board. We've been reviewing these documents recently. We've been doing a lot of work with our accounting team. So we have Mr. Gushwin Lake, who's our accountant. He have been at the helms of the accounting department, and we've been working with him to see how we can get our policies and procedures in line with what have been suggested to us. Currently, the Anguilla Tourist Board, we are trying to finalize our 2019 audits. Hopefully when we get that completed, maybe in the next couple of months, we'll be able to consecutively move on to our other audits, so we can try to get it closer to our 2025, which would be our most current because we're in the fiscal year of 2026. And you know, with the audit cycle, it comes with different suggestions, different feedback from the auditors, so we can see how we can even more improve our accounting strongholds within the Anguilla Tourist Board, just to make sure that we are compliant with the accounting, I would say the finance unit, as well as the government accounting standards, right? For me personally, coming to the Anguilla Tourist Board, I'm very strong on compliance, and I just want to ensure that the Anguilla Tourist Board is as strong and as compliant as possible as we move forward, and you know, strengthening policies and strongholds today would have that, you know, structure and framework for tomorrow. So you know, just not looking at being the director of tourism in the now, but just setting up the policies and procedures for continuity in the ATB as well.
Yeah, in terms of addressing the audits, the ATB, do they have the capacity, you know, the human resources, in order to be able to move this auditing process forward, or would you have to sort of outsource this whole auditing thing? Because, you know, really and truly from 2019, you know, and tourism is our lifeline, so to speak. We really and truly need to bring that closer to 2025 or 2026. Would you have to, you know, outsource, or do you have the capacity within, you know, the tourist board in order to be able to do this?
So we're doing an assessment on where we're at right now. We really want to, you know, in terms of look at this audit, just to see the feedback of what we have here, and look at how we would transition forward into how we would, you know, tackle some of these, you know, challenges. And it's not every challenge is a bad challenge. It's just a way for us to, you know, assess and see what is the best way to move forward as an ATB.
Yeah. Well, basically, Minister, we spoke earlier about, you know, the geopolitics. I would recall in 2020, I believe it was January and February. You know, you were responsible for tourism in that administration. January and February 2020. Those numbers for that particular era was through the roof. Lo and behold, March, April, COVID hit, and the bottom fell out. Based on our discussions here, and as Jameel would have indicated early on, these numbers seem to be record-setting numbers, you know. And we are hoping that the geopolitics that is beyond our control, you know, wouldn't affect us going forward again. Mrs. Richardson mentioned, you know, the advantages, you know, in it. You know, while some visitors are not going to that area, they're coming this way. But then there are so many unknowns, you know, and all of a sudden, you know, as we would have experienced in 2020, the bottom can just fall out. You know, what are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are, it's a history of Anguilla. But the key is in all of that, whether if you think when you were in office in 2007, 8, when Anguilla was going that way, what happened up north
2009
went down. We had Hurricane Lewis, Lenny, we had Hurricane Irma. But in all of that, and COVID and all of that, we found a way to bounce back. So it says a lot about us as a people, that you could knock me down, but you're not going to knock me out. And I think that is the most important part. So we will continue to control what we can control, but in all of that, we learn a little bit more. And I think we probably go back to Donna Hurricane, that we build a bit stronger than most other islands in the Caribbean. So it's not, from that experience we learn. And what we do know, whenever there's a crisis, there's an opportunity to succeed. So we just have to position ourselves to be in that position to succeed.
Right. Well, let me thank you all for coming. There were a number of other questions that I have here. And this is the first,
Yes.
and I'm sure it won't be
It
the
won't
last.
be the last, no.
Because as time goes on, we'll come back to update and to inform the general public, to our viewers and our listeners, in terms of our tourism product. As I said early on, the world is full of critics, but at the end of the day, you almost be steadfast and move ahead, be accommodating to any sort of suggestions, because everyone would have suggestions, but at the end of the day, you all are the experts in the particular field and would be able to siphon out, based on the conditions of our product, what is good, what needs to move forward, and so on. And I want to thank you all for the work that you all have been doing, and stay focused, and have one aim or one goal, so that we'll be able to improve the quality of the product that we have for our visitors, and I would be looking forward for my complimentary tickets.
Complimentary.
Complimentary
All the
tickets.
jazz. All the jazz.
Yes, I'll be on the jazz. I'll be on the jazz all the time. But thank you all very much for listening and for viewing. This brings us to the end of another edition of Just the Facts. And God's willing, next Tuesday, we'll be here again with another program for your listening and viewing. Thank you all very much and have a pleasant good evening.